Thank you for continuing to watch the series on installing the VMware vSphere lab inside of VMware Workstation. In this session, we will actually deploy our first ESXi host, as well as go over some basic housekeeping on what we need to do to ensure that we don't run into issues in our later lab. We're going to deploy a clone from our ESXi template, so we'll choose clone. And this is very similar to the process we used with our Windows 2000 Server 2012 R2 clone. And we're going to select link clone. And again, we're going to put this on our spinning disk versus our SSD to save space. Our basic image is actually on our SSD, so performance should be optimal. We're going to name this server VG in my lab for Virtualized Geek ESXi 01. Then we can throw, if you're using folders, we can throw this VM in a folder and then we'll boot it up. Once our ESXi server is up and running, we'll notice that we changed the network to 192.168.1.128. Right now it's getting a DHCP IP address. We want to make sure we put a static IP address on that, similar to how we did our Windows Server 2012 host. So we'll go ahead and make that change. And that's under Configure Network Management. IP configuration, and we want to set a static IP, and this IP is going to be 192.168.1.60. We'll start our ESXi host at 65. We started our Windows servers at the IP address of 60. Our default gateway is good. And then we'll also configure DNS. So our DNS server, again, this is the IP address it got from DHCP. We want to change it to our AD/DNS server. And we want to configure a host name as well. So we're going to name the server VG-ESXi 01. We'll save these changes. And just for housekeeping, we're not using IP version 6, so we'll remove it. You don't want to have protocols installed that you don't actually use, and we want to make sure we go back into the template and make these changes as well. Let's try and ping our host. All right, so we flushed the DNS, and that seems to resolve the problem completely. Windows networking, you have to love it. After we've successfully deployed our ESXi clone, as well as updated the DNS, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing in our network drawing and update our network drawing to properly reflect our configuration. This is, again, important as you move forward in creating a more complex lab and you need to troubleshoot. You'll be thankful that you've kept track of your configuration through documentation. We'll add the IP addresses to our pictures. And that's it for deploying our first clone. We want to repeat this one more time so that we have at least one additional ESXi server. So we'll add a host offline, ESXi 02. Thanks, and catch you next video.